We recently worked with a client in the real estate design space. They had a good brand, solid product, but they hadn't tapped into digital PR yet. They really knew they wanted coverage and backlinks. They just weren't sure how to get started. So they came to us. We sat down together and asked them one question. What could we put out there that journalists would actually want to cover? And the answer turned out to be hiding in plain sight. 31 media placements later, many of which had DRs of 70 plus, here's exactly what we did and what you could do as well for your brand. Hey there, if we haven't met, I'm Gabby with Bright Valley Marketing, and we help businesses build authority through digital PR. And this is the full breakdown of how this campaign came together, so you can steal our playbook for yourself. Our client works in the real estate design space, and they came to us wanting a campaign that felt connected to their brand, but would also be interesting to the media so they can generate backlinks and media placements. So we sat down and started brainstorming. Step one was to find the right angle. When it comes to architecture and design, we wanted to avoid doing a generic PR campaign that's already been covered to death. So think the most iconic buildings in America, state capitals, famous libraries, that kind of thing we did not want to do. Journalists have seen 100 versions of those types of stories. Instead, we started looking for a gap, and we found one. No one was asking about the buildings people actually walk past every single day. So think the local courthouse, the post office on Main Street, the public library that's been there for over 100 years. These buildings have real character and real people have opinions about them, but no one asks them like what you think about those buildings. So really that became our angle. Which public buildings in America do people secretly love but that never make the list? What we loved about this framing is that it's national but also hyper local at the same time. Every single state has a story and has buildings. Every local journalist has a reason to care. Step two was building the methodology. Once we had the concept locked in, we built out a methodology that would hold up to scrutiny, because journalists, especially at some of those bigger outlets, will definitely poke holes in your data if you are not thorough in your methodology. What we did was we surveyed over 3,000 people across the United States and asked them the first question, which was open-ended. Which public buildings in your state do you consider beautiful but underrated? We kept it open on purpose, so we didn't want to just hand people a list to pick from. We wanted answers organically, from the bottom up, not top down. Then we filtered through the results. We removed tourist landmarks, buildings that were already household names, or anything that was too modern. We wanted civic character. Think courthouses, post offices, city halls, libraries, territorial era structures. After filtering, we ranked what was left using three things: how often a building was mentioned, the sentiment language people use to describe it, and the setting descriptors. Things like historic district, raised elevation, downtown square. That gave us a clean national top 10 plus a full state-by-state data set. And that state-by-state data set, that's where the press value really lives. Step number 3 was shaping the story. Here's something a lot of people overlook in digital PR. The data really is only half of it. How you frame the story matters just as much. We made a deliberate choice in this campaign early on to avoid architectural jargon. No like neoclassical facades or fenestration patterns. Like, we wanted to keep it simple, accessible, warm, and local. Like a neighbor pointing out something beautiful you've been walking by for years but never really noticed. We pushed a simple idea: beauty through subtlety. The buildings that made this list aren't trying to impress you, they're earning that quietly. That framing gave editors something easy to write a headline around, and it really made the story feel different from the usual architecture content that gets put out there, which tends to be either very like academic or clickbaity or whatever. This one landed somewhere in the middle. It was an intelligent story, but it was human. It was personable. We also made sure that the unexpected results were front and center. So in this campaign, Hawaii was in the top 10, Arkansas, Delaware, and when the list surprises people, it gets more coverage. Step number 4 was creating the linkable asset. So once the concept and data were sold, we built the linkable asset for the client, and that lives on the page of the client's website, and we use that to outreach. We went with a design that felt intentional. The style of civic posters, warm, structured, a little nostalgic, and it really matched the tone of the campaign perfectly. The layout was clean, so we had the national top 10 at the top, then a full state-by-state breakdown below. It was easy to scan, easy to screenshot, and easier for an editor or journalist to pull from. This is really important. The easier you make it for journalists to understand your data and grab what they need, the more likely it is that they actually want to cover it. Don't make journalists work for it. Give them all of the information that they need. Step number 5 was the press release and outreach. Once the asset it was live, we wrote the press release. But here's the thing, we didn't just send the same press release to everyone. We customized it by state. So if we were pitching a journalist in Michigan, their version of the press release led with Michigan's buildings and how they stacked up nationally. If we were pitching Maine, it would be, the same thing. Because here's the reality. Most journalists work for regional or local outlets. A story about America's most beautiful buildings is interesting, but a story about this courthouse in your city just made a national list, that's a story they're gonna run with. That's what interests them because it is local and relevant. The outreach email itself was just short and it got to the point. We pasted the press release into the body of the email and included a note for journalists at the bottom saying, if you feature this story, please credit us with a link to the client's website. And here are the results. 31 media placements. We got coverage by the Detroit Free Press, DR85, the Sun Journal in Maine, DR74, Delaware Online, DR78, and the Observer in Sarasota, DR72. And the reason why this all works is because what I just shared and walked you guys through. A strong, fresh angle, clean methodology, local hooks baked into every single pitch. Let me actually leave you with the things that drove this campaign's success and how you can apply it to your brand. The idea that we went with was broad enough to be national, but specific enough to feel local. That's the kind of combination you need to keep in mind if you want to get, media coverage. You need to always go broader than you think you need to go, but also make sure everything relates to the local regional journalists, that it's relevant to them. Next, consider your methodology. Original survey data makes journalists take you more seriously. Our campaign was not just a subjective list, it's research, it's real people's opinions. But you can also use public databases to support your campaign. And if you don't know what kind of databases to use, just go into ChatGPT and input your campaign idea and ask it for the relevant databases you should use. It'll give you some good ideas. Finally, don't be afraid to go in an unexpected direction. So our client was in the real estate design and we could have done something very literal and very narrow, but instead we zoomed out and found a story that resonated with people everywhere. So not just like an architectural firm. It made sense for everyone. That's it, guys. So I hope this gives you an idea for your own campaigns. Even if you're in a tough niche, there's usually an angle like this waiting to be found. And if you need help with your digital PR campaigns, check out our website at brightvalleymarketing.com. We are a performance-based digital PR agency, so you only pay for results, and we do guarantee coverage because if we don't get coverage the first time, we're going to keep going until we get it for you. All right, guys, see you in the next video.